Hello, and welcome to Philip Millard's campaign, Colorado Secretary of State. I am very concerned about any issues you are experiencing or questions you may have. At the tone, please leave your name and telephone number so we can reach out to you to help. Thank you for calling the campaign for Philip Millard, Colorado Secretary of State. Have a good day.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Yeah, hey, Philip Villard, my name is Jonathan Masters. I'm a citizen journalist, or trying to be, at least. I just got a couple questions about your thoughts on Trump's requested registered voter records, what your ideas would be for Secretary of State. I would assume you'd want to encourage democracy, so what would be the ways you'd want to do that? And then, are there any debates? What do you think about the other candidates? Instant runoff voting, do you have any thoughts about it? And yeah, that's it. So I guess I'll try to give you a call in a little bit, and yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, Mr. Villard, thank you very much. Oh, wait, my name's Jonathan Masters, and my phone number is 719-214-8544. Okay, thank you. Jesus.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. Dottie Calhoun is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options. To leave a callback number, press 5.
Yeah, hey, Dottie Hemperly Calhoun. My name's Jonathan Masters, and I just saw your name listed here as the school board director of Pueblo City District 60. And yeah, I was curious about it. Is there an election? Is there an election for school board director coming up? And if so, what are your thoughts? What are your goals? So, yeah, my name's Jonathan Masters, 719-214-8544, Pueblo City, and citizen. Just curious about it. Just had a couple questions. So if you can give me a call back, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. This is Gabriel McArthur. So there's 3 Democrats that I've listed running for Secretary of State. This is one of the Democrats running, in addition to Jenna.
Hello?
Yeah, is this Gabriel McArthur?
Yes.
My name's Jonathan Masters. I'm a registered voter out of Pueblo, Colorado. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I just had a couple questions for you, if you didn't mind.
Absolutely, go for it.
So, Trump is asking for these registered voter records. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I don't agree with the Secretary of State's decision to comply. I think, several states, well, majority of states voted against it.
Right. Like 44, actually.
Well, even the implementation of the way that it happened, there was a hiccup there. So he even had a further opportunity to say no. And there's lawsuits going on as well against the commission. I don't really see the point in giving that information over. There's no evidence that there are millions of illegal voters.
Right.
So it's all on the basis of nothing.
Right, and I think that's probably my biggest issue with it. The overall, like in terms of making sure that the right people. There was one report, I think Colorado Springs, about some lady voting her dead parents or dead grandparents.
Sure.
So I think you're right. The motivation for the commission is way off. all the
right. Those things do happen, but not ever in the amount that it would take to affect an election.
Right, and then to ask in such a bulk rate, I guess I would be suspicious what they're actually doing with the data. Are you actually combing through it and trying to find, illegal voters, or are you going to be sending a bunch of pieces of mail right before Election Day, some of propaganda pieces?
Yeah, I think it's part of a re-election effort, honestly.
Okay, that's a good, healthy suspicion there. Have you come across instant runoff voting?
I have. That's one of the things, if I were to be elected Secretary of State, is I'd really want to start a statewide conversation about alternative methods of voting. I think, I would put out educational resources. These are the different types, like instant runoff or approval voting. And, if people would like to take up initiatives to put those in place, then I'm all for it.
How are your personal feelings for it? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Do you have something better in mind? Because I would assume that you would want to increase voter turnout rate, encourage more democracy as Secretary of State.
Absolutely. Well, my personal feeling is approval voting is probably the easier options to implement, only because if we were to do like a ranked choice voting, there'd be a lot of voter education that would go into it, which, if that's what people decide they want to do, I think the education should be out there. But approval voting, it's a little bit simpler. People can pick as many choices as they want. And if you got people that are able to pick more freely, I think more people would end up showing up.
What is approval voting? Is that different, or is that what we got now? Or?
Well, what it is you just let's just say there's 4 candidates for president.
Yeah.
And in all reality, you'd be okay with 3 of them.
Right.
So you could actually vote for 3 of the 4, and whoever gets the most votes, they would be the winner. But there would be less of a spoiler effect.
Interesting. So instead of actually ranking them, you would just say yes or no to each one?
Yeah, you would just check as many boxes as you'd like to vote for.
Yeah, I think I still, personally, the reason why I prefer instant runoff is, like you mentioned the presidential election, third parties and independents get streamlined. They get treated like second-class citizens, and while we live in a 2-party system, we get a lot of good ideas, a lot of new ideas, and bold, fresh, different visions come from third parties. So I felt like ranked choice voting is the only way to make it fair, I guess approval rating would too. So God, you're making me think. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I mean, in all reality, cutting third-party votes out is diminishing democracy.
Right.
And, you know, even though as a Democrat, I don't think I could really fully live up to that name if I wasn't supportive of third-party voters having their say.
Nice, right. The Democratic Party should be for democracy. Should be democratic.
It's in the name.
Right, exactly. Are there any debates scheduled for I guess there's 3 Democrats running for Secretary of State right now?
Yeah, so far there's 3 of us. Now, I just entered the race last Monday. We don't have any debates on schedule so far, but that's going to be one of my priorities. I want at least 2.
Do you know how to pronounce, is it Gina or Jenna?
Jenna.
Jenna, okay. And then Philip Villard, he's in there too. I'm not for sure. I know Jenna's got some experience, and I saw her quoted in an article recently. So she's out and about and making speeches. Philip Villard, I don't know if you know anything about him. I just seen a website for him, so he's out there, but it doesn't. Yeah. So any thoughts about your opposition or your competitors?
I don't really know much about Philip Villard. I know he was the first candidate to enter the race. I will say I'm a little frustrated with the media that they're not including him more in the conversation. You know, even though he is my opponent, I think that it's important that you know, this race is represented properly. There are 3 candidates.
Right.
As far as Jenna's experience, I do know that she is a lawyer, and she has worked on certain cases for voter protection. I know she worked in Washington, D.C. for a period of time. I don't really have you know, any negative or positive thoughts about her campaign, you know, honestly, because I only know what I've seen. I actually met her for the first time today.
So you don't have any good ad hominem attacks to make right now?
Well, for me, it's more about, I think there would probably be a lot of things that I would do similarly to the other 2, but there's a few things that I'd like to go above and beyond with that I haven't necessarily heard from them. Like, if I was elected Secretary of State, I would want to partner up with the school system, the public school system, and I'd want to institute a new civics program, something that's a little bit more easy for high schoolers to connect with, you know, maybe tie pop culture to the history of politics, you know, things like that. So something to get our high school students ready to vote once they graduate. And I don't really care who they vote for. I just want them to do it.
Well, being that it's an American government school in the United States, that's who teaches our children. You would think that we would be teaching, you know, civics, how to live in this democracy. One thing.
I took civics in high school, but it was optional.
You took it? Yeah, I didn't have the option. And then I was working on being a teacher, and I volunteered in a lot of different places, and it's not. Most places don't have it. Most schools do not have civics.
Right.
They had like an American.
I don't know if I can necessarily make something like that mandatory. If I could, I would.
Yeah.
You know, but even just creating a program and just telling the different school districts, hey, we have this as a resource for you. We'd like to see you implement it. You know, and find a way that it's not too expensive for the schools to take on. You know, maybe partner up with the governor and see if there's something that they can do as far as that goes too. But the other part is educating just everyday voters. You know, the Secretary of State has meetings all the time about different rule changes that they're going to make, and that information is available on their website, but it's this tiny, you know, little link that you got to kind of search for to find.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, social media is a resource to put out videos. Here are the rule changes that we're thinking about. What are your thoughts? There's all kinds of ways that you can get that information out.
Yeah, I think that's that's a slam dunk issue. I would think that the school board, that I would probably, as a citizen, put more pressure on my school board to get civics implemented than the Secretary of State. But that's, I don't know, I'm a political junkie. I like this stuff, and I think that you were right. I agree with you about having a good, robust conversation. I mean, you guys are essentially the election, like the top administrator, the top election administrator, a top bureaucrat. So hopefully there are no ad hominem attacks, because if you guys are just talking about policy, well, that's exciting stuff. You're talking about initiative and referendum. You're talking about, instant runoff voting, and I don't know what the other what their ideas would be, but I would think that they would want to generate, higher voter turnout rate and, get more people involved just as well. Which actually leads me to Amendment 71. I was very excited with. I came from Kentucky and I'm in Colorado now, and there's no initiative, referendum, nor recall in Kentucky. So I'm like, oh my God, this is exciting. But the draconianness, the stringentness of Amendment 71 just makes me feel like, there's no more popular referendum is out unless you can, have millions of dollars in your pocket, unless you have, big businesses funding you. And that's disappointing. That's how marijuana was legalized, but that's a way the people can circumvent the government and put the issue to the people, which honestly, I dream of pure direct democracy. So I'd want us, voting on all the issues all the time. But yeah, Amendment 71. What are your thoughts?
I was pretty upset when I saw that it passed.
Yeah.
And probably something that upset me a little bit more was that there were a lot of Democrats that went out in favor of it. To go back to us being kind of the people that are supposed to be protecting democracy.
Right.
I didn't understand that move, but if there was something that I could do to get rid of Amendment 71, then I would do it in a heartbeat. The problem is, it's now written. The good thing about it is there are still other ways to get initiatives going, like statutory,
right,
or even lobbying the legislature.
Well, that would be the only easy way now, unless you got like millions of dollars to put an initiative to open it back up. So it would have to be state initiated.
Yeah, I was really upset.
Well, I guess you could champion. I mean, if you could champion civics in schools, and you should be able to champion. Would you go to the legislature? Would you just pop in, make impromptu speeches, and?
I mean, one thing
I don't know if you have to be like that arrogant, but would you try to? I guess. I'm thinking Huey Long. Huey Long just kind of said, "Hey, everybody, here I am. What's going on?" And he would just make a scene when he would walk through the door. But just I guess, pushing your viewpoints, you'd have to push. Would that be an issue for you? Would you even mention Amendment 71, or would you just kind of work with what you were given with?
Well, I was telling somebody the other day. I mean, there's a lot of things that are within the authority of the Secretary of State that we could do that would make positive change. But the other side of that office is that it's a platform, right? Kind of like you're talking about, where if I were to speak out and say, look, the state would like to have a discussion around alternative voting methods, that's a powerful message to send to people, and it gets them talking about it, talking to their
that would get the media
officials.
The media would definitely report that.
Yeah, and with something like Amendment 71, of course, I would say on the record, it was a bad decision. I think people were misled.
Right.
There was a lot of money pumping into states from out of state to get that passed. And, so it would be using the platform in any way that I couldn't do with the authority that I have.
Yeah, I also felt like it was pretty deceitful, too. They were trying to make it seem like it was rural versus city, but the amendment made it harder for rural folks, city folks, anybody in the whole state to get, any issue on the ballot that they would want. So
right, and it still would have had to been a majority vote, before, but now it's over 55%.
Yeah, like 55%. It was like 55% or something, wasn't it?
Which one, Matt?
I think like they wanted 55%. They needed a 55% vote, and that was one of the reasons. I don't know. This is very vague, but I thought there was a lawsuit against Amendment 71 because the majority is supposed to win, but I think they had a clause on it where it said if you got 50, you have to get 55% in order. Once you got the amendment on the ballot, you had to get 55% in order to pass it. And so they were fighting it, saying that that's not majority. That's just that's so arbitrary. I don't know. I just
right.
It's
not only just 55%, but each I think it's each county or each House district.
Right.
Each of them has to get a certain percentage in order for it to move on to the ballot.
Right. That was my problem. There's 44 counties, and then you're supposed to get 15% of the last electorate, or, somehow something like that.
Yeah. So even if 63 counties all voted in favor of an initiative, 50%, if one county doesn't, it doesn't go on the ballot. And that to me is something that nobody really thinks about.
No, that's insane. I mean, as a regular, working class person, if I wanted to put an issue on the ballot, it would be tough just to sort of, gather all the signatures here. I mean, it's a city, so I got lots of people here. But if I wanted to get the issue on the ballot, I'd have to drive, all the way to Timbuktu, and then, like you said, just one out of the 63 counties. That's all I had to do is just skip one. So I could do this 62 county campaign, but one county holds out, and now, I'm just stuck. That sounds like initiative is dead to me. So that's that almost made me turn around. I just got here November of last year, and I'm registered. So, but when I first got here, that was the election of Trump, and then I saw Maine passed instant runoff voting, and then Colorado got rid of initiative, and I was like, oh my God, I guess I don't know. Last question. Media. You mentioned the media hasn't been fair. They haven't been talking to you. What are your thoughts right now with how the media of Colorado is, engaging in this dialogue with the candidates?
Well, here's what's interesting. So before I was running for Secretary of State, I was actually running for Congress in Congressional District 6. I was the first candidate to enter the race. I put out press releases. I even did an interview with the Denver Post, and I never published it. So when I announced that I was actually going to withdraw from that race and enter the Secretary of State's race, all of a sudden, the Colorado media had something to say about it.
They just said that you dropped out, so that was sort of if it believes it leads, it's negative, but you dropped out of one and entered the other, but the headline is, Right.
Well, in my opinion, some of the pieces that have come out about me, at the very least, it just lets people know this is what I've done. That's the bare minimum that I can ask for, but what I'm going to try to do is really focus on independent media. And, because what I've seen over time is some people actually start getting upset with the newspapers when they, kind of sideswipe candidates like me. And so what I'm hoping for is that enough people, just at the very least, ask the newspapers about me, and hopefully it gets the newspapers talking. But if not, then I want to rely on people to get the word out, word of mouth, just going out, having events, talking to people. I think that's more effective anyway.
I think so. Every person that you shake hands with is probably a vote. But I'm just thinking, in general, the media just has, if they really cared about informing the voter, they have a great opportunity. They got a great reach. They can, they come into there's 4 broadcast channels that come into my home here. And the internet, right? We're the internet generation, so there's a million ways for the media to get. I'm frustrated with the media myself, so I'm wondering. I don't like Trump, but his political acumen, I think is right. He had all those rallies, and those rallies essentially talked directly to the YouTube people that was recording there. He basically circumvented the media, or he kind of forced the media to listen, even if they didn't want to. Listen, so I don't know if that, if you have any reactions.
It's funny because I talked to some people about that, and I said, look what Trump was able to do. Now, their response to me is, well, yeah, but you're not Trump. You don't have 30 years of media attention and blah, 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 all that stuff. And I understand that, but I'm talking about the principles like you are, where I'm just getting in front of people, and it's not about the money. Money, you do need a certain amount of money to win a race, but the way that I put it to somebody was the last Secretary of State's race, the Democrat outraised the Republican 2-1.
Right.
They raised like 600,000. The Republican raised like 300,000, but the Republican still won.
As a citizen, I don't want to just hear you were comparing yourself to Trump. I don't want to listen to Trump just because he's a rich, playboy or whatever. I want to hear you. I want to hear what the regular, good, honest, hard, a politician that wants to come out and actually wants to help the people and increase voter turnout. That's another thing that I guess I don't like about that Trump thing is that they keep finding reasons to stop people from voting, whereas here I'm like, God, half the people don't even vote to begin with, so we need to be increasing voter turnout rates. So it's like the whole, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but it's like the whole thing is just, it's topsy-turvy. It's backwards sometimes. I want to know what you have to think because you're going to tell me, you're going to be honest, you're going to tell me you're going to be a straight shooter, and you're going to have, new, bold ideas. I want to know what's going on with you. So the media, I think it's intentional or pro-business. I'm not for sure what it is, but I hope you figure out some way to get around the media. I don't know if you have enough money for rallies. I think that's all you would really need to do. Hold a bunch of rallies throughout the state, but I don't know if you would have, the pockets for that. I'm sure there's other ways too.
You don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money to do rallies. I mean,
right.
If you have people who have relationships with local venues and things like that, that's why I want to visit small towns. That's what I have. I was a Bernie Sanders delegate to the National Convention last year. So through that process, I got to know delegates all around the state that were state delegates that, followed my journey to the convention and beyond. And I'm developing those relationships. I'm not worried about developing relationships with, party officials or anything like that. I want to talk to people, and I want to talk to people who they know what everybody's day-to-day is like, and they, those people are going to be excited just because they believe in the same cause that I do.
Well, I think of you as you're a regular guy until you get into office. Then you'll be, kind of a corruptionist, sort of hiding everything and not being forthcoming with information. But I think right now you want to be heard and you have a message. And I, as a voting citizen of the public, I want to hear that message, and I want to weigh out my options and, be the best informed voter there is. And unfortunately, mass media just does a bang-up job of really telling us, of really anything of what we need to know.
Absolutely. So one of the things I want to do as the campaign progresses is just do, Facebook Live or just posting videos about what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Talking to regular people. One of the things I did, I had a meeting with Indivisible a few weeks ago, and I basically walked in, everybody had chairs lined up, as if you're going to listen to a speaker talk, and I said, no, let's not do that. Let's put the chairs in a circle, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't think people really were expecting that. I don't think that's something that happens a lot.
I really
liked it.
I think it's a mixture, man. I like the hippiness of it, like, hey, man, let's have a conversation, but you're the candidate, so you're the one that's going to, you're the one on trial, so to speak. So you need to